Welcome on the frequency of Marconi Radio together with Marco Casa. Happy to be with you also today to talk about books. This book tells more than mysteries and puzzles because it makes you enter in the mind of a man, a brilliant man, as he was Leonardo da Vinci, which has absorbed the culture of his time, which in turn has absorbed the old ones. There are several layers, a bit as the paintings on a wall, the same as when you go digging to find an original sign of the time. Why do I speak of this? Because it was published an interesting book, which focuses its eyes on a not yet studied aspect of Leonardo's work, and above all, the book is titled Leonardo and the 12 Stones of Heaven. It is published by genialtutor.com, this particular website dedicated to culture and art, where you can buy the white paper book online. This book is also published in ebook edition on Amazon, and its author is Elisabetta Sangalli, who is our guest in this space. Welcome, Elisabetta.
Thank you to you and to the listeners of Radio Marconi.
This book, Leonardo and the 12 Stones of Heaven, is a book that has cost a lot of effort to study, because when we speak of Leonardo and when we speak of his art, in this case The Last Supper, the line between reality and fantasy, it is very thin. Dan Brown goes well with his books because they project us into fantastic worlds, but it's not the reality of study and investigation of a scholar like you, Elisabetta.
Yes, certainly. It must say that on The Last Supper was really written anything and everything. And The Last Supper is one of the most studied works of art in the world. And perhaps because of it, my surprise, it was really great to note a couple of years ago, when I began to research, that on the detail of precious stones no one had ever written anything. It is paradoxically the iconography that has been completely ignored, and my involvement to the 12 stones began with the observation that an interest in particular, as that of the gemstones painted by Leonardo in The Last Supper, had never been the subject of interest and study.
Okay, now we come soon to her book, who is Elisabetta Sangalli, and how she came to Leonardo Mysteries.
In a very simple way, I am professor of art history, and I have an activity of promotion of cultural events in various institutions. I came to Leonardo because I was preparing a lesson about The Last Supper, and observing a photographic zoom-in, I casually noticed a painting detail on the neckline of the robe of Christ. I zoomed in on this detail, and immediately I realized that it was something that I had never noticed before. Of course, I looked at it many times, but my mind had never stopped to think, had not perceived the importance that this detail could have both at symbolic and iconographic level. So I started to study it, looking carefully at the whole picture, but discovering that the same details was painted on the other garments, but the ones of the apostles. I wondered why Leonardo had painted these stones, what message he wanted to communicate, and then my research started with enthusiasm.
I think you made your own ideas, which explains or expresses or reveals in this book that we invite you to buy and read. Leonardo and the 12 Stones of Heaven, published by genialtutor.com, the website where you can buy it. And by the way, even penetrating a bit in the argument, there are other things that catches the eye reading an intense and captivating book like this, which required a lot of study and work, and it deserves attention for the innovation that presents. In this case, you consider carefully that historical period, the Sforza age, where goldsmith, velvet, weapons were truly a treasure, sometimes brought on show in Milan, but maybe not arouse the general public's attention as much as Mona Lisa at the Louvre Museum.
Of course, It must also consider that the Mona Lisa has come to us in very different storage conditions than those of the Last Supper, so the stones jewels in the Last Supper are also difficult to read, or at least 2 or 3 are read with confidence and are easily interpretable. For example, the diamond painted by Leonardo in the garment of St. John, or the emerald painted on the robe of Christ, and others have a paint film so deteriorated as not to allow an immediate identification of the mineral. And my study was really a work of comparison, that is, my intuition consisted in this. First, comparing the Last Supper with the many reproductions by Leonardo's pupils, such as the copy painted by Marco da Oggiano in the Museum Louvre, or a copy of Gian Pietrino preserved at Magdalen College, Oxford, or even the copy attributed to Andrea Solari, preserved at the Abbey of Tongerlo in Belgium. So these copies, painted on canvas and well preserved, have allowed me a comparison with the original Vincent, to reveal what has been lost in the original Vincent forever, and so find out what could have painted Leonardo. So it was made a twofold comparison work. First, of all between the original and each copy, and then in a second moment I compared the same copies between them, to check if all copies reported similar details. For this work of comparison I have considered the most ancient copies, the ones made in the decades immediately following the completion of the Last Supper by Leonardo, which is given for concluded in February 1498. In fact, the ancient masterpiece went deteriorating almost immediately, and consequently the copies made in the years immediately following, but not later than 1500, are certainly the most trustworthy and reliable.
The 12 precious gems was painted by Leonardo's Last Supper in the garment of Christ and the Apostles, but not on everybody. Precious stones are a local custom of the time. Leonardo dressed the characters as it was in use at the court of Ludovico il Moro, or the meaning of the gems goes far beyond.
Well, Leonardo of course knew these stones, because in context of Scots court life, fashion and jewelry needed a wide use of precious stones, which were used especially with ornamental purposes. But not only, also to send secret messages between lovers. Then Leonardo knew them and knew their manufacture. He had his own recipe. Instead, what is less known is the iconography and symbolism of the 12 stones, and to understand their meaning we must go back to the Dominican age, and especially to Father Vincenzo Bandello, the prior of the convent of Santa Maria delle Grazie in Milan, a man of great religious culture. He was a master in theology and a leading figure for his time. Vincenzo Bandello did in-depth Bible studies, especially the book of Revelation. To properly understand the symbolism of precious stones, we must go back to the biblical commentaries relating to the books of Exodus and the Revelation, because in any case the 12 stones have biblical origins, where tradition bound Hebrew and the Jewish breastplate worn by the high priest, the so-called Hoshen, which in turn had probably originated from an Egyptian pectoral called Shem. This breastplate worn by the Jewish high priest when he went into the temple of Jerusalem, it was adorned with 12 precious stones, bearing the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. The name was just etched in the stones, and this is good because it means that the name of the tribe, like ours, is engraved in the heart of God. If the name is etched in stone, it can no longer be deleted if not repolishing the stone and reducing their size, but in this way the stone would lose its value. This is the reason why, for example, in the Renaissance the diamonds were shaped but not faceted, because this meant loss of the valuable material and the reduction in the value of gem. In fact, the diamond that appears on the Last Supper in the garment of John, curiously, is uncut, because Leonardo painted it as it was made in his day.
Elisabetta Sangalli, thanks again. I remember you, Leonardo and the 12 Stones of Heaven. You can find it online on genialtutor.com educational site, both in white paper edition and ebook. Thanks again, Elisabetta.
Thank you very much.
And see you soon from Marco Casa.